Don't you guys think that sometimes people overreact just a little bit? I understand being a little bit upset because, like, Insect Glaive can no longer do the helicopter move, or, you know, kind of not enjoying the fact that Hunting Horn buffs stay with you after you swap weapons in Wilds, but, does this really matter? A lot of people have been talking about this so-called Pocket Horn issue, and if you don't know what this is about, basically in Wilds, when you have the Hunting Horn as one of the two weapons that you have selected, you can buff with it, swap to a different weapon, and the buffs will remain. And a lot of people aren't happy with this. I mean, kind of makes Hunting Horn a really good secondary weapon to bring with you. But I don't know, it seems like this issue was a little overblown. So I decided to ask you guys this exact same question, as well as a Hunting Horn main, but before I do that, let me just quickly give you my opinion. It might be shocking for me to say this, but I don't really care. Brother, if I really cared about optimization, would I have been maining gun lengths for the last 5 years? Honestly, if efficiency was all I had in mind, I would be playing a ranged weapon 24/7 and getting the best times possible. I love Monster Hunter, and although I do like challenging myself to get hard hunts under 10 minutes, I'm not really a speedrunning guy, and I'm not really an efficiency kind of guy either. I prioritize fun, and when I played Wilds for well over an hour, I never even brought the Hunting Horn as my secondary weapon once. So yeah, I don't really think this bothers me whatsoever. If you want to use it, like if you're a speedrunner trying to get the best time and you want to use those buffs to, you know, get your stats up, by all means, go ahead. But I wanted to ask you guys how you feel about it, so I put up a poll and I let you guys vote, and with just under 2,000 votes, it seems like a lot of you guys do not care about this at all. I will be going over what you guys said and have a look at some of the comments on this post with a well-known Hunting Horn main, which, by the way, it's about time I introduce him. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and only Italian Monster Hunter DJ, DuplEx Music! It's really hard to introduce him as if he hasn't been on my channel like 20 times already. Alright, DuplEx, I got a couple of things that I want to talk to you about regarding this Pocket Horn shenanigan.
The Pocket Horn issue.
The Pocket Horn issue. Quite, yes.
Yes.
So what's your overall stance regarding this Pocket Horn issue?
The problem is that it's not an issue in the first place, per se. I think it's definitely something that has to be looked into, and it's fair enough that the community kind of worries about it, but I'm pretty sure that the devs like know how to manage it, and even if it doesn't get particularly taken care of, with the values that we have right now for Monster Hunter World and in general even Monster Hunter Rise, it shouldn't be an issue even if they don't rebalance the horn in order to make it more compatible with other weapons.
I've got some of the comments that I had, like, people responded to that post that I made. Comment here from Adilus1284 sums it up pretty perfectly. He says, I just think people will be more interested in playing with their weapons, and it'd be too much of a hassle to keep switching to the Hunting Horn just to buff and for the buff to stick for like 2 or so minutes. And I think this is like the underlying reality is that most people are not going to want to use their second weapon slot to just have something to buff them.
Attack Hop boost, especially like the XL one, which is the longest one, lasts for 3 minutes if you build with it for Horn Maestro, which means you'd have to pick up your Hunting Horn every 3 minutes and apply the buff. That's tedious. That's not even, like, sure, if you're a speedrunner, you could go for it, but in a normal hunt, you just normally wouldn't. A lot of the Hunting Horn skills, as I said, last for like 3 minutes, and they give you like a boost like by 20%, which for sure it's really good, but if you're not a Hunting Horn main, you don't know how to upkeep those skills, and you would have to actually use them in combat, which at that point is just using the weapon.
I 100% agree. And like we said, I think, yeah, speedrunners are going to use it because the point with speedrunners and people like Team Darkside is that they will min-max and they will exploit every single number possible so that they can do it within the rules. Well, you know, maybe not some speedrunners, but most of them for sure. The second topic that people were definitely bringing up was the potential... I can't say the word potential, apparently. People definitely seem to be worried about the potential balance issues that we're going to be seeing. I got 2 comments here to read out. So one is from Epic Panda Pat, one of the mods in the channel. Pocket horning will be one of the very best ways to speedrun and hunt, and if it does stay like that, then it will possibly cause issues with the weapon balancing during the DLC development process. And then there's another comment that says, I just hope the Hunting Horn buffs don't get nerfed because you can buff up every time the monster runs away. Hopefully the Hunting Horn is just as strong and fun to play so that people end up playing it instead of using it as just a buff stick. So we got two ends of the pockets here, right?
That's a valid issue, especially the second one. I don't think it's an issue on the balancing side, because if we take the values that we have in Monster Hunter World as is, if you take like a weapon that in endgame has roughly 900 attack, and you get attack up XL, which boosts the attack of the weapon by 20% for 3 minutes, that means you get up to 1080 for around 3 minutes. That's not that much of an increase, considering that you have to spend around 1 minute to perform the buffing routine and reaching the monster again. So you'd only have 2 minutes of uptime that are not that much. They kinda award you for having a little buff if you choose to like sacrifice a second weapon slot. But again, it's not that much of a difference. It's not a speedrun must-have, I think. I'm pretty sure people will prefer to have other weapons like a hammer that allows you to stun the monster and allow you to get a bigger opening, for example.
There's a comment from Evans, and I think it highlights the whole thing perfectly, right? People talk about this pocket horn issue as if it was a deal breaker, when we all know fully well that most people are going to pick up a ranged weapon as their second pick, and knowing that most light bowguns will have access to sticky ammo, which is just busted.
Boom! I agree with a lot of people that they mention is, of course, the issue that it could bring the hunting horn to kind of either lose its identity or to become something that gets nerfed to the point it doesn't become broken. In order to avoid this pocket horn issue. And that's for sure something that I naturally, as a hunting horn main, kind of worry about. But at the same time, considering what they've been saying in the interviews lately, they've made it pretty clear that they want the hunting horn to be something that, you know, can also stand on its own as a attack weapon, as like, you know, a heavy hitter. So
the next topic that I want to bring up is power creep, but this is a bit of a, I don't want to say pointless, but this is definitely something that nobody here is going to have an answer. So Ultra Whale asked this. He didn't ask this, actually. He just said it. Since you bring two weapons with incompatible skills, shit would be a mess. From the info that we have so far, so might as well buff up and bring one weapon with optimized skills. So Ultra Whale is basically saying that because we have two different weapons in the game, and we still don't know how the skills and all of that will work. Like, yeah, we know that weapons will have weapon skills, but we don't know if when you switch weapon, do you switch your armor set? Do you switch the decorations? Or is it just the weapon, right? So we don't really know how that works. That is a genuine issue. Like, I don't think this would stop me from playing the weapons that I want to for the fun of it.
For once, I'm gonna say this, I'm happy to be Italian, because one of the content creators over from Italy actually asked specifically this question, so I'm able to actually spread it to the whole world like a plague. And he specifically asked about this balancing of having two weapons. It's Sabaku. I love the guy, super specific about.
Wasn't he at Gamescom?
He was at Gamescom, and he managed to ask this to Ryuzo. And essentially the answer is they kind of reworked the skill system in order to make it viable to have two weapons. So it's not like the weapon is going to have a stupid skill on it that kind of makes it easier to use. No, it's going to have like considerable skills that make the transition between one and the other more efficient. It's not going to have like artillery 1, but by end game we're going to have like artillery 4 on a gun lance or something like that.
Final conclusions. Although Monster Hunter is a PvE game, that doesn't necessarily mean that weapon balancing doesn't matter. I mean, as a Gunlance main, seeing how the Gunlance has increased in its potential, and in Wilds it looks like it might be the best iteration of it yet, it is very important to see your weapons become better. But at the same time, something as silly as what other people should be picking because it gives them buffs, it really shouldn't affect your judgment unless you're some sort of speedrunner, because at that point, you will always go for what's optimal. You won't settle for what's fun necessarily, right? But I don't think that most of the community really cares.
Like, people are gonna try it for sure. The first days, they're gonna be like, oh, the pocket horn thingy. Then they're gonna try it and be like, damn, it kind of sucks to apply buffs every 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be like, oh, that's cringe. I'm just gonna bring like a bowgun or something.
Can you say something in Italian so that I can close out the video?
Grazie mille ragazzi per questo video. Corno da caccia bellissimo. Bye bye.